anniversary of Ponce de Leon's arrival in the Sunshine State. And we're going to mix some history with some great food. Our first stop is St. Augustine, the oldest city in the United States, and we'll sample some awesome Spanish cuisine at the tasting room. Then, we'll head to Pensacola to Jackson's Steakhouse, named after our 7th president and the first governor of Florida, Andrew Jackson. There, we'll be preparing some Wagyu beef. Next is Ybor City in Tampa, where we'll visit the oldest restaurant in Florida, the Columbia. Paella is on the menu. Our final stop is the Kennedy Space Center to talk space food with a shuttle commander, and then he's going to teach me how to land the shuttle. So fasten your seatbelts. That's all coming up on this edition of Emerald's Florida. When the Spanish explorers arrived on Florida's east coast in 1513, it laid the foundation for the many nationalities that would eventually come together to form the United States. To celebrate the 500th anniversary of Spain's arrival in Florida, there's a statewide celebration called Viva Florida 500, and it's focused on the cultures and people who have called Florida their home and highlights their impacts on the history of the state. We begin in St. Augustine, the oldest city in the United States. St. Augustine is located in northeast Florida. As you travel around the city, you see some amazing architecture that reminds you of a long time ago. Historic St. George Street is for pedestrians only. There and on the surrounding streets, you'll find bistros, taverns, galleries, and gift shops. You can also take a trolley to see the sights around town. Throughout the city, you can visit museums, historic buildings, and the forts that protected residents from pirates. Our first stop is the Tasting Room, and it's one of St. Augustine's best and most interesting restaurants. The Tasting Room opened in 2006, and it's a great place to try a lot of innovative Spanish cuisine with a local twist. The executive chef and managing partner at the Tasting Room is Michael Lugo. During our visit, Chef Michael prepared 2 dishes for us. The first was snapper in escabeche with mixed peppers. The second dish is cochinitos, a caramel and chili braised pork belly using curabota pork.
We like to season it with a rub that has paprika, cayenne pepper.
That's just chunks then, chunks, right?
Yeah, chunks of the pork belly. We're going to put a little bit of shallots. We're going to put a little bit of garlic in there. You're going to braise that for about 35, 40 minutes.
Show the folks at home just what that looks like right there.
Rendered out the fat. We added a little bit, a cup of water in that to kind of bring out, you see the spices and the flavor of the meat. We came up with this idea of doing a caramel lacquer to it. So while it's braising, we build a basic caramel where we put sugar in a dry pan, reduce that down, makes nice caramel. We're going to throw jalapenos in here right now just to give it a little bit more spice. And as we get the braising liquid going again, we're going to add a nice little caramel to that. That concentrates the flavors of sweetness against the sour and the heat of the peppers. So that's going to come down for another 2 hours. We're going to reduce that down, let it come down slowly. And you're going to get this wonderful caramelization of the pork. And that's what we call it cochinitos, because, you know, the little pigs, you know, reduced down in the caramel, the lacquer. We got some of this great bread on here. And we're just going to put that on the plate.
Traditional Spanish food. They do serve a lot of bread with their dishes.
You know, tapas in general, it means exactly that, to cover.
Right.
We're going to finish this off with just putting a little bit of house pickled onions and some little cilantro just around the top to give it a little bit more of that aromatics to it for you. We got both these dishes for you. I wonder if I can take you to the wine cellar. We can try these with some wine.
That would be fantastic. Folks, let me tell you, if you're interested in these dishes, it's very easy to get the recipes. You can go on cookingchanneltv.com or emeralds.com for the recipes. So now we're going to taste wine on top of that. Fantastic. Let's do it. The wine list at the Tasting Room is pretty extensive. They have over 120 wines from Spain, but they also have a pretty heavy California focus. For our tasting, Chef Michael picked a California producer that I'm a big fan of, Costa Brown. We tried their Chardonnay with the escabeche and their Pinot Noir with the cochinitos. This is going to be interesting. You know, bacon and Pinot is really a classic. I mean, with pork belly. It's going to be interesting to see the little twist of what you did with the pickled onion and a little cilantro.
You smell the violets and a little bit of...
Just a little hint of cherry in there too. All right, chef, make me go first. Wow, the caramel is just... Another winner.
That's what we try to do.
You know, that caramel cut a little bit of the fattiness of the pork, but didn't really take away from the structure of the dish.
Exactly.
And it really sort of goes really well with this Pinot.
It's kind of a bridge between the
Absolutely.
food and the wine.
Absolutely.
Nice balance. is what
Really
we try to do on the
fantastic.
menu.
Thank you so much for your
Thanks for
hospitality. Chef,
Cheers.
thank you. Cheers. Stay with us. For our next Viva Florida 500 segment, we travel to Pensacola. There we'll visit Jackson's Steakhouse, and Wagyu beef is on the menu.
Emeralds Florida is sponsored by Visit Florida, promoting tourism in the Sunshine State.